For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. We've got a lot of winning to celebrate, and we've also got to point out some losers in D.C.
Absolutely. Hey, it's a great day right now. Just so everybody knows, we appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Drop a comment if you're watching live. We'd give you a shout out, kind of like this. Kelly over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you for being there, as well as Annie over in the Twitter chat. But at the end of the day, guys, guess what? Joe Biden only has 33 days left in order to cure cancer. I mean, that's it. So the end is in sight. It's almost here. Cancer will be cured in 33 days, thanks to Joe Biden.
Yeah, and actually, let me go ahead and check real quick. You can go to hasbidencuredcancer.com. Let's see if the website's still up and running and find out if he has cured cancer. Give me just a second here, guys. Has Biden cured cancer.com. And, I got a typo in there. Well, we can be rest assured he hasn't. Yeah, no, he hasn't.
It says no.
Yeah. Yeah, it also says I can't type. We got a lot to jump into, and we've got some victories to celebrate, like Pixar over here. They are backing down. Disney's Pixar cuts trans storyline from upcoming series, says parents would rather discuss issue on their own terms. And, I see this as a pretty big victory considering where Disney's been on this issue on the wrong side of history for the last several years, continuing to insert this indoctrination, this filth into their films, trying to corrupt children and basically being the groomers that they've turned into. I think this is a pretty big victory.
Oh, it's a huge victory. And I mean, when you read the headline, you're like, duh, obviously parents would rather be the ones to discuss this as opposed to you shoving it down everybody's throats. But Disney's a massive company. Even when you start to boycott these sorts of companies at that level, it's really hard to make a dent in them because they are so big. But this tells you that at the end of the day, it's all about money for them. They are doing this in response to conservatives starting to boycott their products, their movies, and all those things. And so this is just a way. They don't really care about the kids. They don't care about the families. They care about their bottom dollar. And this is just letting us know that we've actually been heard in terms of voting with our money. And that's why it's important that we continue to vote with our money and only support, companies and products and all these different, industries that actually support us. But that's what this really comes down to at the end of the day. Look, I've got young kids, and it is so frustrating having to, screen some of these shows and movies before you let them even watch it because of just the nonsense that they want to put in there. And absolutely, this is a huge win for all conservative parents across the country.
Yeah, bingo. Disney's lost billions of dollars, but engaged in numerous lawsuits, which they don't exactly have a great track record with all of a sudden, even though normally Disney's lawyers are feared by all. But like I said, they've been on the wrong side in a lot of these issues. They tried to skirt state laws down there in Florida. DeSantis has had to smack them down over that. And this is huge. But the tranny actor, actress, actix, I guess, It's big mad about this and very upset because it thought this was the perfect role for it. But no more. But there's a lot of other upset people right now to get to, like Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney lashes out at Rep. Loudermilk for referring her for criminal investigation for witness tampering. And they're also talking about the 100 and some odd pieces of evidence that she destroyed. So Liz Cheney may have to actually face some justice.
Well, listen, this is huge for those of us in the January 6th community on this. I mean, we've all been talking about this behind the scenes for the last little bit. And the reason this particular case is very interesting to those of us in the January 6th community is, as most of you have known, is we were all wrongfully and unconstitutionally charged with many charges, but specifically the 1512 obstruction of official proceeding. That is the one that the Supreme Court has recently ruled on and thrown out. So it's no longer, they can like, it's officially been ruled by the Supreme Court that it was unconstitutional to charge all of us with that charge. And the reason I bring that one up specifically is that charge, it says obstruction of official proceeding, but when you go underneath of it, it's by way of tampering with a witness or tampering with evidence. So exactly what Liz Cheney has done basically is obstruction of official proceeding, because she's tampered with witnesses. She's tampered with evidence involving these official proceedings. And just so everybody knows, this is a 20-year felony charge. I was facing this, as all the other January 6ers were, wrongfully. But this is a situation where this is exactly what that law was written for, where exact circumstances and situations that Liz Cheney allegedly did. That is exactly what the law that was originally created for. And now they're referring her for these, criminal investigations. And I, as January 6th political prisoner, and all of us in the January 6th community, would love nothing more than to see her officially charged with the exact charge they charge us with, which is obstruction of official proceeding. You talk about poetic justice for all of us. That would be glorious.
Bingo. And let's not forget, this whole sham committee was just a giant exercise in propaganda and indoctrination. They showed what they wanted to show. They manipulated the facts and evidence. They withheld things that would have presented a more fair picture from the American people. They brought in a big producer from, I think, ABC to put this all on. This was a giant sham on the American people to manipulate opinion against conservatives, against President Trump, and to hide the truth about what really happened. And the fact that now that these documents are going to come out, are going to be released shortly, we're starting to get bits and pieces of it. They're scared. There's a lot of people very nervous about what's coming down the pike in D.C. And they should be, because they're screwing us again. A total dumpster fire. Conservatives furious as GOP leadership strikes deal on massive spending bill. Spending bill subsidizes State Department's censorship slush fund. Global Engagement Center weaponized against conservative news and small businesses. Funds News Guard, who, by the way, recently the military just had to drop because of how biased they were. Speaker Johnson needs Dem votes to pass. And as you said before the show, Derrick, they're going to end up probably with more Democrats supporting this bill than Republicans.
This is unbelievable that this is even coming up. And honestly, it's even more unbelievable. I appreciate the conservative members of Congress who are, throwing out some tweets. Go in there and make a motion to vacate. Guess what? You make a motion to vacate, you vacate the chair. They can't even bring this to a vote to pass it without a speaker. So I'm telling you right now, it's time to actually just cause mass chaos at this point. Not only this, all these things that it's funding, we're still getting a lot of information. There's a lot more than just those little cliff notes. We'll get into that here in a second on the show here. But this, President Trump takes office January 20th. This funds, in addition to all this pork and all this other stuff, these slush pet projects of theirs, it funds the government all the way through March 14th. And why would they do that when President Trump is taking office? Like, if they have to fund something, I get it, okay? It should be an absolute bare bones minimum. Get us to February 1st. I even give them a week. Let everybody get settled in after Trump gets in there to figure everything out if they want to. But to go all the way to March 14th and to fill it with all this pork and all this stuff that's in there, it's unbelievable. And just so you guys are aware, they were $30-some trillion in debt. They're the ones that did this. They broke all their own rules. So like when they had the speaker fight originally, They wanted one of the things they said was we want 72 hours to read the bills before we vote on it. So now they don't have the 72 hours to do that because this came out such last minute. But also they're giving themselves a pay raise in this as well. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but they're giving themselves a pay raise. How nice of them to do so.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it's also incremented going forward, so they'll continue to get pay raises based on inflation. Based on Bidenomics and COLA, cost of living increases, similar to like Social Security recipients. Only a lot more generous, I'm sure. But yeah, now is the time to act. It's time to call the Capitol switchboards, melt them down, call your congressman, blow up their phone, figuratively, not literally. Make sure the message is getting across that we're pissed. And encourage them, any one of them, anybody with even the slightest inkling of conservative values, tell them now's the time to throw up a vote for a motion to vacate and bring this process to an end. Make sure they cannot pass this. I don't care if government shuts down in January or whenever the spending bill or whenever the funding bill runs out. That's fine. We need real options. The people want change. We're tired of this shenanigans, of this BS that goes on every time they want more of our money. They hold us hostage. No mas. Tell them we are not going to allow it. We are not going to stand for this nonsense anymore, and continued funding of programs that not just President Trump and Doge, it's not just Trump, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy. The American people want changes, and we want massive, massive, massive spending cuts. Absolutely.
Quick shout out to Thaddeus as well as Luciano over here in the Twitter chats, and Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat. But look, this is who cares if they shut the government down? I mean, I think that that's a win for the American people. When have they ever pushed buttons in Congress as a whole that actually benefited the American people? Guess what? The government shut down. They can't send money to Ukraine. They can't push the climate change garbage. They can't push the transgenders. I mean, who cares if they shut at this point? What? I mean, who cares? Shut it down. But I'm going to go over a couple of things that's in this bill. So this also includes an extension of the State Department's Global Engagement Center. And I know we touched on that, but I want people to understand that this is the same agency that funds the speech suppression efforts and is currently being sued by the Federalist and the Daily Wire. So anybody who votes for this, in addition to everything else, but I mean, I've just went through and skimmed and found what I thought were some of the things that really stood out on the surface. It's a massive bill. It's hard to read it all. But they're basically voting to continue censoring conservatives. Everybody who's ever been censored on social media, or OAN getting ripped off the channels, the Dish and Direct TV, all this. If they vote for this, they're voting to fund that exact stuff. And so to me, they're like, that is unbelievable. They're going to take our tax dollars, and the government is going to direct people to suppress or companies to suppress the speech of conservatives. That is literally the definition of tyranny that we're seeing take place before our very eyes.
Yeah, well, they love their tyranny. There's a great article up on Zero Hedge you guys can go check out. This is a blood sport for them. Laura Logan exposes the age of information warfare. And this spending bill is essentially to enshrine a lot of that, maybe not permanently, but to continue to fund it, like you just said. It's to weaponize government, again, against conservatives, conservative values, conservative networks, and suppress the message that we're trying to get out, because it is against the deep state's interests, these bureaucrats, globalists that are there in DC spending our money, wasting it on frivolous nonsense. Well, they also oppress us and won't allow any speech or any commentary against that or against their other plans. This also further enshrines the COVID. It continues their special powers under COVID for another, I think, 2 years. So again, this is a bunch of nonsense we don't need, and we've got to put the brakes on this and send a message. Start calling the Capitol switchboard. Call your congressman. Call your neighbor's congressman. Leave message for them. House, Senate, everybody, doesn't matter. We need to overwhelm them and make sure that they understand this cannot be allowed to go forward.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, on the COVID stuff there, so that it expands the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness and Response Act. So this allows for the vaccine and mask mandates, the vaccine passports, intentional emergency powers, gain of function research, all of that stuff is included in this. And then I haven't put this tweet out yet. I'm still trying to figure out exactly, making sure I'm understanding it all the way, and I want to be able to put it in a concise form. But there's also something in there to allow them to declare an emergency over climate change. And that is so broad for them to have the power to do that, to just say, oh, I mean, well, for instance, at my house, it wasn't raining yesterday. It's raining today. I guess the climate has changed. Now they can roll out and say that there is, emergency powers, a shutdown, whatever it is they want to do. I'm not taking a climate change vaccine. I'm not sitting in my house for 2 weeks and I'm walking everywhere I go for 2 weeks to slow the spread of greenhouse gas emissions or whatever they want to call. This is insane. This is absolutely, I think what I'm most shocked by is that Speaker Johnson has rolled around lately with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Vivek, and everybody's talking about Doge and how awesome it is. And then all of a sudden they don't seem to really want to do Doge things all of a sudden. I mean, it's unbelievable that they are out here, have the audacity to talk and promote and act like they're conservatives and they support Doge, while then they're going to turn around and fund all of this nonsense, all this pork, right before a Doge takes effect. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, why are we negotiating at all with these people? We have the power. We just won the elections. We don't need their votes. We can put together whatever spending bill we want and send it over to the Senate, and they're going to have to approve it. We have the power of the purse, and we need to utilize it. It's time to stop all these things, strip out the funding, and if they don't like it, they can go home. They can go start their own country somewhere. They told us to pick up our toys and go home. If we didn't like it, we could just go pound sand, and it's time to treat them with the same disdain they treat us. Because we've got a lot of moonbats out there. I was going to say blue-haired, but not this guy. Liberal veteran claims Trump will be arrested on December 20th under Executive Order 13848, calls for mob to storm D.C. on Inauguration Day and demand Trump step down if arrest doesn't happen. So we've got some blue anons out there trying to foment an insurrection of their own. And I don't know. What do you think? How's this going to unfold?
Well, quick shout out to Marvel over here in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you for being here as always. This is, to me, I mean, he's calling for an insurrection. That's really what it comes down to. I don't know exactly how he's planning to do that and combat that. I do think that I believe in free speech. I don't want to see this guy treated the same way I was just because he got emotional and made a tweet or a post or a video of some sort. I really don't. But it does need to be investigated. I mean, is he working with a group who's wanting to attempt these things, or is he just some person who just got really mad and let his thumbs get wild and put out a post? I mean, I think there's definitely a difference between those two things. I mean, is he out here gathering weapons and making plans to go there? That would be a totally different situation. But I do think it needs to be, especially considering that we've already had multiple assassination attempts. It definitely needs to be investigated at this point, at the very least. But once again, where are the left liberal members of Congress, for instance, coming out and saying, hey, man, we don't want this rhetoric. We want a peaceful transfer of power. I mean, everybody still on the left is mad at Trump. And he was out here before January 6th and on January 6th telling people to be peaceful, respect the law, go home. And they're mad at him, saying he didn't do enough. Well, if this person was to do something, where are the people on the left right now trying to prevent these people from doing something like this? They're not anywhere to be found. And if anything, they're ramping up the rhetoric and trying to talk. They're probably pumped that somebody is taking the bait and thinking about doing something such as this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this guy is clearly delusional. But what he wants, he posted a short video, and maybe I should have grabbed it so we could have played it. But he wants 11 million people to show up in D.C. on January 20th, because somehow he thinks 3% of the population, they have some magic ability to overturn the election, that Trump will, I think his words were something like, he'll see 11 million people out there, have a coronary, and he'll just step down. Something to paraphrase, or something along those lines. But yeah, like this guy, won't accept the will of the people, refuses to acknowledge the election. And actually, maybe we should look into the 2024 and 2022 and 2020 election and figure out where all these missing voters were that voted for Biden. Where'd they go off to? And then start looking into all the other voting irregularities, like California. I'm looking at you. I don't know why you can't count more than 100 votes a day over there after the election, and how you always seem to find just enough votes to flip the election to a Democrat. Same with a lot of other states. Why is it that it always happens in this one direction? I think we need to look into those kind of things and find some real answers.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, California counted votes for like 6 weeks after the election, and every single seat that changed went from Republican to Democrat. Every single one of them. That is not a coincidence. That is not a mathematical anomaly. That is cheating, is what you would call that. That's exactly what has happened there, at least in some of them. I mean, I think it'd be crazy to also say that Republicans held every single seat during that time. That would be, a little weird as well. But I mean, this is year after year after year. Every time the voting continues, the Democrats win every single seat. There's definitely election fraud that's taking place. But, back to this gentleman here. I mean, once again, man, these left people have been radicalized. I mean, they can talk about January 6th all they want to, but at the end of the day, no one was there to be violent. And not only that, the conservatives do not have a violent history. I mean, look at the Summer of Love leading up to all of that. Look at everything they did with that. Look at all these shootings that have taken place. Every one of them has been liberals. I mean, transgenders and liberal people. I mean, I don't know of any of these mass shooters who were actually Trump supporters. As bad as everybody despised Biden, and as much as he was destroying our country, literally committing treason in front of our eyes, not a single conservative thankfully went out there and attempted to do anything like what they've attempted to do to President Trump. So it just shows you that they are the party of violence at the end of the day. And they try to say that we are, but as we know, the left always, they do what they accuse others of actually doing.
Well, yeah, and as we've seen over the last couple of years, there's violence against conservatives. It gets little to no coverage by the mainstream media. But even when somebody just completely makes something up about violence against the left, it gets shouted from the rooftops for weeks on end. And then when they do find out it's a hoax, it's still justified. It's still they were just sharing the sentiment on the street, the feeling from all these oppressed leftists everywhere that they're really the ones in the crosshairs. We all know that isn't true. But guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsor, and then we're going to be right back with even more.
Hey, Patriot TV fans, feel like there's nothing on the radio for like-minded, intelligent people like yourself? Well, great news. Now you can stream Patriot TV on TuneIn during your drive to or from work. Whether you're stuck in traffic or cruising down the highway, you can catch every conversation from your favorite show hosts right in your car. No more mindless jibber-jabber. Tune in 24/7 on the road, at the gym, or wherever you are. Download the free TuneIn app now on Apple, Android, or your computer and never miss a beat. Patriot TV, now on TuneIn.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorcini. We are facing one of the greatest periods of financial uncertainty in both American and world history, and so now is the time to organize your finances. With the advent of the BRICS pay system, we need to now seriously consider how we can take better care of ourselves and our families and start some serious decision making when it comes to our wealth. You can also ask about their newest 2-ounce coin of yours truly. It's an absolutely great gift, and I am deeply honored to be part of history, as well as helping people protect their finances, their wealth, and their investments. So visit gold.generalflynn.com. Tell them the General sent you. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. So go today, download the TuneIn app. It's free. And this helps us chip away at the market share that leftist companies or companies that support leftist causes like Apple and in their iTunes product and Spotify. It helps us chip away, beat the algorithm so they won't constantly be promoting leftist news sources if somebody does listen to a conservative, and manipulating the algorithm and manipulating the American people.
Absolutely. And look, getting debanked is the worst thing ever. You need to go support Old Glory Bank for sure. Appreciate you guys for doing that. Because like I said, I've been debanked personally. It's the worst experience you could ever go through. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's literally just it's protecting you. And I mean that sincerely. You notice I don't promote very many things personally, but I'm telling you right now, the best thing you could ever do to give yourself peace of mind is to go find a bank that is not, you never have to worry about getting debanked. I can tell you that.
Yeah, bingo. Well, we didn't get to this yesterday, but this is a pretty big story and a pretty big deal. Bureaucratic red tape or land grab. Cook County threatens to exit FEMA flood program over federal interference and property rights dispute. And actually, I got a video real quick. I believe this guy is a pastor in the area, and sorry if I've got that wrong. Oh, he is a pastor? Okay. Let me go ahead and roll this real fast, and we'll discuss.
Are we going to house people indefinitely in hotels?
Others living in tents.
Which is safer? A tent with an open flame heater in it and somebody rolls over in a sleeping bag against it? Or a shed that happens to be insulated? We're now going to be forced to hire a certified engineer to come in, actually take things apart and deconstruct the house to see if it'll pass code.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This is happening in North Carolina right now and Tennessee. But that specifically is happening in North Carolina, where the Amish came down, built these tiny homes for these people who are struggling right now, who are still homeless from the hurricane. Never mind, we're sending all this money to Ukraine and these other countries, but our own people are still homeless. And so these Amish people came all the way down from Pennsylvania and Ohio and everywhere else to North Carolina to build these tiny homes for these people on their own private property, mind you. So this is a building on their own private property. And they are being told that they can't stay in that building because it was not built to code, or actually, it probably was built to code because it didn't get the proper inspections. They didn't pull the code enforcement out there in the middle of that. So before they insulated it and put the drywall up, they didn't come out and wait the 2 weeks for somebody to come out, look at it and say, yeah, that passes inspection. Go ahead and put the drywall up. Go ahead and run whatever. That is what this is all about at the end of the day. They would rather these people sleep in tents than to stay in one of these tiny homes or these sheds that not just the Amish, many churches and stuff have got together, came down and built these things just to get these families out of the cold. I mean, we're hitting the winter months right now, and this is in the mountains of North Carolina. It gets really cold there. Actually, right now, in my opinion, is the worst time of year because it's raining. I would much rather have snow. It's 40 degrees and rain right now, and it is cold, very cold. And they got these people in tents because they didn't pass all their rules and their inspections on that. It's absolutely despicable what they're trying to do to these people.
Well, exactly. And kind of the point the pastor was trying to make is what's going to cause greater loss of life. People being in a tiny house that may or may not pass inspection, or being forced to sleep in a tent with a flame heater that could burn the whole thing down, possibly kill them or injure them or whatever else. And FEMA also appears to be interfering with allowing people to get back onto their own property. And a lot of these are also happen to be in the same area where we've discovered huge, lithium deposits there? So
Yep.
Is this part of a land grab? Is this going to be like Hawaii all over again, where they're going to manipulate the rules, push people out, steal their property, pay them, something for it, but not what it would really be worth, open sale to a mining company that might want to come in. They're going to pay through the nose to buy this property just because of what's underneath the houses. But if FEMA is interfering with that in the middle and then forces sales, they use eminent domain to steal these people's property in their future. So again, we've got to put a stop to this kind of nonsense. And luckily, Trump's coming in, and hopefully something can be done to curb their power and prevent this kind of nonsense, especially, again, in a short-term situation. It is much better to have these people in these tiny houses that I'm sure would pass inspection anyway, but we'll pretend some of them won't. They're much better off bending the rules, allowing them to stay there, than forcing them out in the cold.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if these code enforcement Nazis, if they're not being directed to do this as well, to make people, incentivize them, if you will, to sell their property and get out of there. Because if you don't have a home and you're freezing and your family's in danger of the elements and such, you'd be a lot more likely to take an offer to sell your property now and use that money to go buy a house somewhere else and move, which is once again part of the land grab I believe that they're attempting to do in that area. But this is just a major issue right now. I mean, I mean this when I say this all the time, that we live under more tyranny today than our founding fathers did in 1776. I mean, you got to get a permit in half these areas now to catch rainwater on your own property, for goodness sakes. These people, what does it matter to anyone else if on their own property that they have built a shed and if they want to live in it for forever with no electricity, with no running water? If that's what they want to do, it's not anyone else's business to do so. So for them to actually pretend that they have the authority to come onto someone's private property and say, you're not allowed to stay in that building, you're not allowed to sleep in there. How do they even enforce that at this point? I mean, are they going to burn it to the ground? Are they going to pull the building out of there? Like, what are they going to knock it down?
Don't give them any ideas.
Well, and what is the punishment? Like, if you're sitting in the tent in the middle of the night and you're like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna go take my family, my wife and kids. It's raining and there's water getting in the tent, or I'm sleeping on the cold ground. I'm gonna take my family over here into this building, and they show up the next day. What is the punishment? I don't know that answer. Can they throw these people in jail or whatever, or fine them out whatever? But I mean, because who cares? It's their personal property. It's their place that they're putting their head at night. It's nobody else's business what they do with that. And I guarantee you that the tent doesn't pass inspection. If that building doesn't pass inspection, how does a tent pass inspection for a full-time home if that building doesn't? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. And again, we're talking basically sheds on people's property. This isn't like it's something that's endangering the neighbors or making things less safe, or it's automatically a fire hazard or anything like that. It's just they didn't pay the toll. They didn't, get the consent of their lords. And that's the bottom line. That's why they don't like this. It's people doing what they want on their own terms and on their own time. And, it goes back to why we just don't trust and just our utter disdain for the government the way it is, because of their disdain for us. Speaking of not being able to trust anything they say, we're still back on this drones kick. And, and this is after yesterday, they tried to assure us that all these drones are... I think we did get somebody confirming these are being tested, that this is new technology, blah, blah, blah. But then again, we have this. Rep. Michael McCall says drones seen flying over military base sites are adversarial and likely coming from communist China. On top of the New Jersey's governor yesterday coming out after the information from the feds and saying that he has received information that they are looking for a nuclear device. So who's telling the truth here? And I still think it's no one. I don't think we're getting the truth about these. And we're starting to see some stranger videos with some of these drones now that more people are watching. I mean, there's still a lot of garbage out there to sort through. A lot of people are spotting airplanes or consumer drones and helicopters and other stuff that just don't know what they're looking at. But there's some other really strange stuff starting to come in. And I don't know. I'm not buying that this is all authorized tests. That's for sure. The other thing I don't understand that doesn't fit the narrative story is, okay, so if we are looking for a nuclear device that was lost, why are we only doing it at night? Wouldn't you think these drones would be up 24/7? It's not like they can only fly in the darkness. If anything, if you're trying to spot stuff on the ground, I would think daylight would make it easier. We also had a gentleman come forward yesterday that was a pilot of some kind that said that at the altitudes these things are at, the radiation detectors would be able to pick up little to nothing. They'd need to be much closer to the ground than the altitudes they're primarily being seen flying at. So, again, nothing adds up. But what do you expect?
Yeah, well, nothing is adding up. Shout out to All About Me in the Getter chat, and Pita Chips in one of the Twitter chats there, and then Suleiman as well in the Twitter chat. But Thaddeus says these drones are looking for stolen medical radioactive material. Once again, I don't know what they're doing. I do know this much. They're not telling us the truth. They're not giving us facts at this point. I believe that it's causing more chaos and concern than whatever is actually taking place. I believe that the unknown at this point is worse than whatever it possibly could be. Even if they are really looking for a nuclear weapon of some sort or radioactive material, or if they are from China, or if they are, I'm not saying that they are, but if Iran's got a mothership off the East Coast or they're extraterrestrial, I think all of that would be able, I think the people would actually accept that if we knew it was the truth as whatever it is, compared to just the unknown right now. I think that's what's really causing a lot of issues. I don't think that these congressmen and the governor and these mayors, I don't think that they're lying. I think that they truly are sharing the information that they're being told, and giving their opinions on what they've been debriefed on as to what they think that they are. I really do believe that. But I believe that the higher ups of the government that's involved in this and knows what's going on, I believe that they are telling different stories to different people just to cause more mass chaos in terms of the messaging of it. That's just my personal belief. I don't obviously have any proof of that, but that's what I believe right now, is just trying to keep that. And I think it's funny though, because now it's gotten to the point where people are flying their own drones up to try to find this, which is now causing even more chaos, because people now are like, I saw drones too. I saw 12 of them. Well, it could be citizen drones. And then people were actually talking about bird migration and stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the bird migration. Just some of the videos I saw, it was obvious to me that as people who live in the city, especially, they don't look up and pay attention to nature very often. And I think that a lot of people are looking up at the sky and taking a lot of this stuff in for the first time, maybe in their lives, or at least in a very long time. And so everything looks a lot different from that perspective as well, because we live our lives. We don't really look up a whole lot. I do. I mean, I live in the woods, I hunt and stuff, but I know that the average person does not do that. And so I almost wonder if there's something part of that as well, because people are actually paying attention for the first time in possibly their entire life.
Yeah, and I do think that's a big part of it. Last night I was kind of like doing not a deep dive, but watching some of these videos and other stuff that have been posted, and the bird migration ones, like, I don't know, I really didn't see anything strange in any of those that I saw. A few of them were like giant flocks, but also that happens. Like, there's a town here in Ohio that's kind of known for a few days a year, as birds are headed south, they just get flooded with it's not, maybe it is crows. But anyway, they just have like a gazillion of them descend in on this town for a 2 to 3 day period. Then they continue on their journey south. It's kind of become like a party pit stop for the birds. Now, the other videos that I was starting to see some of, and if I can get any kind of verification, which I didn't have a lot of time last night, but if I'm able to, maybe I'll bring up some of these tomorrow, are around some of these drones in a few places. People have caught unusual, like, electrical events, like a bunch of lights going on and off or flashing at businesses. And some of those are, I don't know, there's something to it. And we've had many reports of radios going out, interfering with people's home Wi-Fi, and other stuff like that. And if these things are using some kind of weird electromagnetic device, that could explain that. But bottom line, again, is at this point, we just don't trust the government. They've told us so many stories that at this point, I don't know if anybody could believe any of them. But if they had just come out at the beginning and said, hey, these are just part of a test for, it's a private company, or these are government drones for battlefield mapping or whatever else, these vertical takeoff and landing larger drones, this is part of an authorized test, anything would have been better than where we're at now, because now nobody's going to believe whatever they tell us.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about it. I saw a video of an entire parking lot of cars with like the lights and stuff flashing. Nobody's in them, by the way. These are just parked cars in a parking lot. And there was dozens of them. I mean, probably 40, 50, 60 cars. And they're just, the lights are flashing everywhere, all over the place, headlights and all this stuff. So it is definitely weird. There's been a lot of reports, as you said, of people's electrical stuff being messed up in some capacity or not from these. I don't know how all that works, but there's definitely some sort of connection there. I don't know what that connection is, but there's definitely something going on with that. And as you said, at this point, we deserve the truth. And I think that, if they're worried about telling the truth because they're going to cause panic, I think that the unknown is causing more panic and hysteria than whatever it possibly could be to begin with. But we also have to remember that the same administration allowed what we do know to be Chinese spy balloons to fly over top of, the mainland of the United States, all the way across it before anything happened to it as well. So you almost have to wonder, if it is China in some way, or if it's a foreign adversary of some sort. But at the same time, I don't know why they would care about using the FAA approved lights on their drones. That's what brings me back to thinking it's possibly or most likely our government in some way, because I don't know why a foreign entity or definitely extraterrestrials, why they would be using these lights on there to make sure that they're safe and then nobody's getting harmed in the process of this. So you don't, to me, just on that alone, it makes me lean towards that it's our government. So then the question becomes, what are they doing? And it's not a training exercise. There's no way, in my opinion, that they would be doing that over densely populated areas such as that, when we have all that land in the out in the desert and all this stuff in the ocean. And so to me, they're either trying to desensitize everyone into just accepting this so that they can roll out a surveillance police state with drones and people will just accept it because we're used to them flying over us now, or they're actually looking for something that is a threat to the American people. That's where I'm personally at right now. That's just opinion, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, I think this is about scaring the American people to terrify us into passing these FAA and drone changes they want that I'm sure we'll all come to regret later as they abuse the power within to further oppress or spy on the American people. Before we go to break, though, San Francisco's got a huge, enormous breaking story that I'd like to highlight. San Francisco hires overweight fat activist to give guidance on weight stigma. I told you it was going to be a big announcement, and I wasn't joking. So yeah, this little monster, the fat activist, that's your tax dollars at work if you live in San Francisco. She's going to be there to tell you that you're all wrong for eating right and being healthy. And if you don't embrace fat people, if you can embrace them, you're clearly fat phobic.
Well, first of all, I would love to know what this person is getting paid for this job. It's absolutely unbelievable. Maybe we can do a FOIA or something at some point and find out exactly what this person is getting paid in this role. But I think this, you might see some other liberal cities do this as well. I think this is all in response to RFK Jr. And the reason I say that is I saw where some of these people were coming out. I think some of the people on The View even were mentioning it, that because RFK Jr. was talking about the obesity rate in this country and unhealthiness in this country due to the diet and everything, that he was then in turn fat shaming them, and that this is going to be an ongoing crisis for people in this country who are going to be, fat shamed or whatever. And so I almost wonder if San Francisco then turned around and used that as, hey, we need to hire a fat activist or whatever it's called. I'm sorry if I'm using the wrong terms. I don't remember what it's called. An activist. Yeah, there you go. I don't know if that was in response to that or thinking about that, but you can never put anything past these people to twist something and manipulate something and find a way to waste money.
Yeah, they're probably just paying her in pork chops and pasta anyway. But guys, we got to take another quick break here from our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with even more. So stay tuned.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's filling up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Just go to patriot.tv, select the Insurrection, and you'll see a variety of sponsors down there at the bottom. And again, we want to change this country. One of the best things we can do is vote with our wallet. get healthy, find products on there that fit you, fit your lifestyle, and help us to stay on the air so we can keep bringing you the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear, and everybody else that's in that same vein can do the same. Well, we got a few more things to get into before we run out of time here. Democrat Senator Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren sends letter to Trump claiming conflict of interest with Elon Musk leading Doge. Trump press secretary fires back, saying the fake Indians' societal impact has only been 1,024th of Elon Musk's. And
it's awesome. Well, and Elon Musk then comes out and responded on Twitter and said that they gave her way too much credit, that she's not had that much of a societal impact. So it's even funnier that they're trolling it too. I want to give a quick shout out to Brent or Spencer in the Twitter chat, and then Brent from Canada up there in the 51st state of the United States of America. Welcome to America and welcome to the show. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, look, this is hilarious that they're out here. Trump's one of the greatest trolls of all time. And I love that was an official response to Pocahontas. And then Elon Musk chimed in and threw another dagger in there as well. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, the left is flailing and failing in this regard, and Fetterman seems to be the only one that gets it. That some of these things, like Doge and mass deportations, the American people in both parties are clearly behind. I mean, there's 70 to 80% support for mass deportation among Democrats in their own polls, and then there's massive support for Doge even among Democrats. Approximately 55-60%, depending on what poll you look at, think it is a good idea to go into all these government departments, find the waste, get rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse, and trim things down. Everybody's the citizens are by and large on the same page. They're tired of just shoveling all our money into this blast furnace in DC and getting nothing good for the American people out of it. Well, we continue to find endless wars in Ukraine and around the rest of the world, and use government against the American people instead of building us up and making our nation greater.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly the left is. I think that what we're seeing right now is we've witnessed and experienced a civil war within the Republican Party over the last little bit in terms of the MAGA movement taking over the Republican Party. I think that we've successfully done that, especially with the Trump re-election here. And then Mitt Romney even came out recently and said that he thinks J.D. Vance will win the nomination in 2028. And Mitt Romney on the record said that the MAGA movement is in charge, basically. And so I think I say that to say I think that we're seeing the same thing taking place in the Democrat Party right now, as they don't know who they want to be. You got some people like Fetterman and Shapiro, Joe Manchin, and I'm not necessarily fans of theirs, but like they are definitely a lot more closer to the center than the far left wing of the party who wants to push the trans stuff and all this other garbage. And there's a little bit of a civil war, I believe, taking place within the Democrat Party, and they don't know as a whole who they want to be and who they're going to be moving forward. And so it's kind of fascinating after we as a party have went through that in the last little bit. We still have a lot of work to do. I mean, the MAGA movement has won, in my opinion, but not to the point that they can't take it back from us. We've got to continue squashing these globalist, warmongering neocons, establishment Republican, country club Republicans, like Speaker Johnson, for one. We got to get rid of those people. But it's fascinating to sit back and watch them getting ready to start going through the same thing that we just went through as a party as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I think Senator Lurch is one of the few that kind of gets it. He can read the tea leaves, and he knows if they don't change, they're going to become just straight up irrelevant. It won't be in the next election or even the one after that, but they're going to continue to lose power as the America First agenda succeeds, makes things better for all Americans, and as they continue to embrace the tranny madness and the other just nonsense that defines their party right now, they will continue to lose support from the middle and from a lot of more traditional Democrats. We got just a few more things to get to, and I want to try to cram at least a couple of these in. So Russia says Ukraine allies are accomplices in Moscow assassination of top general. And I got to say, I don't disagree. I don't think Ukraine did this on their own. And let's not forget, this is the guy, too, that was pointing out all the illegal U.S. biolabs over in Ukraine and wanted some type of investigation when hostilities end there.
Well, first of all, I agree with that, rough assessment there that the allies are accomplices, which means the United States of America is an accomplice in this. And it's really a huge escalation in this situation. I know we're all trying to get to January 20th, get Trump in there and start, getting on the track towards actual peace and peace negotiations over there. But as we know, the Biden regime is attempting to ramp up the division and everything else as much as possible to make that as hard as possible for President Trump to negotiate peace. And when we are now, and at least whether it's true or not, okay, that part is irrelevant for what I'm getting ready to say. Putin and Russia feels as if the United States of America is an accomplice in terms of assassinating one of their top generals. That is a huge escalation in this little proxy war that's taken place between by way of Ukraine through America and United States and Russia.
Exactly. And, at this point, they are being pushed to do something to respond against another NATO nation or do something else to escalate it, like a tactical battlefield nuke that would essentially force NATO to get involved there. And that is bad for us, bad for the world, and really could send us into global thermonuclear war, World War III, something along those lines in the immediate future. And unfortunately, it seems like the Democrats, the State Department, the Biden regime, they know the clock's ticking, and they are doing everything they can to escalate things, everything short of us literally launching an ICBM over at Russia. They are doing everything in their power to try to ensure that this is a quagmire we can't dig our way out of, and that the war continues there. American people are done with it. No more funding for Ukraine. We need to get a peace deal of some kind on the table, and I honestly don't care if Ukraine likes it or not. They're going to have to deal with it because the piggy bank, I'm done being their piggy bank.
Well, not only that, I want them to pay us back with interest. I don't care if they have to do that through their natural reserves that they have over there, whether that's coal, oil, gas. I don't really care what they do. I want them to pay us back with interest all the money that we have sent over there over the last little bit, whether it was laundered or not. That's up to them. I don't care. Every single dollar that left the United States of America needs to be paid back to us, and that needs to be on the table from the United States of America and the President Trump administration. It needs to be on the table from the get-go. And like I said, if they don't have it or they don't want to do that, that's fine. You can give us your oil, you can give us your natural gas, you can give us your coal. We'll come over there and we'll get it, and then we'll call that even at that point. But we're gonna get our money one way or another, because this is unacceptable what's happened. And shame on the Biden regime for even doing this, and even more of a shame on them though. And I think it's almost borderline criminal. Well, especially considering he's a lame duck president right now, and he is purposely doing stuff that is going to harm our country before he steps down from president. That is absolutely appalling, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. He's basically sabotaging the effort towards peace. I want to get a couple other, let's switch over to some good news. Trump team begins back channel talks with Mexico and El Salvador on deportation plans. So, everybody said this wasn't going to happen, or he's going to back down. We wouldn't get a wall or anything else. And thank God that isn't the truth. And they're already setting the stage for where they're going to move everybody. And I think, we will see this begin on January 20th, January 21st, that things are going to roll out immediately, and there will be an end to this invasion that's been allowed to go on and encouraged and embraced by our federal government and paid for with your tax dollars for the last 4 years.
Well, and I saw some of these countries that come out and said, oh, we don't have the capacity to accept these people. We're not going to accept them. Let me tell you right now, this is where I'm at in terms of these mass deportations. I don't care. I don't care if we round these people up and we have to tie them up and take them on a helicopter and fly them into the middle of that country and just on the ground, not standing in the air, and just shove them out right onto the ground and take off. Like you're back in your country. Do whatever you guys want to do with them. I don't really care if they're all these terrible people. Then that's up to you to deal with them. We don't really care. If they're good people, that's awesome. You should want these good people to come back to help rebuild your country and get it on stable ground. I don't care what we have to do to get these people back over there, but we got to do it. And if they don't want to play with us and want to force us to take extreme measures, such as flying straight into the middle of the country and dropping these people off in their home country, then we should turn around and bill them for that through tariffs and other means. So it's either you do that, or we're going to hit you with tariffs, because these countries are not in any sort of position to get into a trade war with the United States of America, and we need to crush them if we have to do that.
Yeah, bingo. I don't care if we're dropping people out of planes with parachutes. This problem
Yeah.
ends today. You're taking your people back, especially a lot of them that help facilitate this invasion. I don't have any sympathy for you. Sorry. Well, the ACLU has got a whole game plan to pressure local officials into blocking Trump's agenda. And, you know, I think it might be a time for an investigation to the ACLU's finances. You know, why is it they've gone from being, you know, a free speech organization to one that is helping to support and facilitate the invasion of America. So no sympathy there. But again, like this is, again, who we're dealing with is leftists that no matter what oppose anything that is good for America or what the American people wanted and clearly voted for in this last election, even though the media is still trying to pretend that somehow the American people didn't understand that Trump was serious about deportations. Everybody knows he was, and everybody, including Democrats on the left, you know, majority of them all support it. So this narrative isn't working, and the ACLU, they need to be sent a message on this.
You know what? At this point, the ACLU should be properly labeled as a domestic terrorist organization because that's exactly what they are. Notice the wording there. It wasn't even necessarily that they're going to work with local officials. They were going to pressure local officials to do these things. And then what we're talking about here is exactly, you know, the mass deportations and everything else. So the ACLU is basically saying that they want to pressure local officials to aid and abet the foreign invaders of our country as we are trying to take a humanitarian approach and kick them back out of our country. Because I tell you right now, I think there's a good portion of the country doesn't even care about the humanitarian approach at this point. They need to leave this country dead or alive. I think there's a lot of people feel. And so Trump's trying to take the humanitarian approach here and get these people back home. And you've got the ACLU is going to come in and try to use everything possible to help foreign invaders continue to invade and stay in our country. That is literally the definition of treason at this point. I don't know why no one's doing anything about this stuff other than, mean tweets and fundraising letters. Like, it's time to actually start taking some action on this. It'd be very easy, especially with the Republicans in control. All they got to do is say, hey, if they have to vote on it, whatever, like officially declare this as an invasion of our country. And then there's no way illegally that they can find a loophole and say that they're not committing treason. Because if you officially declare this as an invasion, and it should pass within 30 seconds, just put a simple bill, say that this is an invasion, vote on it, pass it. Now it's officially an invasion of our country, and anybody who's helping these people are committing treason, and you're going to be treated that way. There's no loopholes around that. So I don't understand why they don't have it in them to go take these steps and actually start playing some offense and playing hardball. We gave you guys a mandate. Go deliver the mandate the way that we instructed you to do so, or we're going to find somebody else.
Yeah, and you know what? The left of the deep state, they decided to start playing games, going after lawyers' licenses, going after their bar memberships. If they were defense attorneys for President Trump, worked for anybody that allied with Trump, and this has been an ongoing process. They've stripped Rudy Giuliani and many others of their law license over disputing the 2020 election or defending President Trump. So these people are... The ACLU is helping to facilitate an invasion, and again, same thing. They're working against the law, against the American people's interests. Maybe we need to start take their tactics, go after their law licenses, so they're no longer able to practice and move forward with this kind of lawfare against the American people. Again, they're the ones that open this can of worms. They just think we're always going to be too afraid to use it, and maybe it's time to take this tool that they decided to utilize illegally, in my opinion at least, and turn it back on them. Start stripping them of their ability to even do this by taking their law licenses.
Yeah, use their own tactics against them, basically, at the end of the day. I mean, they've already set the stage for that. It'd be funny to watch the ACLU say that it's illegal to do that when it's their actual game plan that they've already been doing. So it'd be funny to watch them try to argue that. But I know we're almost out of time. So, yeah, I'll just say use their own tactics against them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we are out of time here. It always goes too fast. But again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And stay tuned here on Patriot TV for even more great shows coming up next. I'm not sure if it's Hannah Faulkner up next today or if it's General Flynn. I forgot to check before we went on. But thanks again, guys, and we'll be back tomorrow with even more.